Hello, welcome to this, the very first, well, not evaluation. I'm going to talk about how I started my Greek dancing. Very, very long time ago. The year was 1981. I was friends with these two. It was Tas and Chris. I used to think they were Mr. Greek dancing. I remember when I went to the Grosvenor once. The Grosvenor was sort of this big, it was a massive hall, the biggest hall you're ever likely to see. You know, it's in the West End at the end of Oxford Street, just round the corner. It's the Grosvenor, it's called the Great Hall. Anyway, they had a Greek dancing group there dancing in front of over 1,000 people, and I sort of, Tas was there, and I was sort of thinking, I said, I thought you're Mr. Greek dancing. How come you don't know them? How come you're not involved in this? You'll hear that a little bit later, that, when I became Mr. Greek dancing and people would see a group somewhere else, it says, well, how come Andy isn't involved in this and Andy doesn't know them? The point is there's thousands of dance groups all over the place. But I got to know quite a lot of the best and the worst dancers that you're ever likely to see. So let's have a look and start talking about that in detail. So as I said, this is Tas dancing here and Chris. They were quite good. Obviously when I started dancing, they were the best thing since, sliced bread. Looking back at it now, they're okay. They're nothing special. They used to think they were really special because they were just so arrogant. But I think you need a bit of arrogance in Greek dancing. So anyways, I saw them dance at this wedding, and I said, oh yeah, well, I think I'll learn to do some Greek dancing as well. I went down. Tas and Chris used to live opposite the factory, just a few doors down. So I went the first day, and there was another guy being taught there. He knew a lot of dancing, and I just couldn't do it. You know how it is on the first day and everything. So I thought that it was going to be a regular thing. When I went a week later to try and do it, Chris was there and they were just watching television. I just said, well, are we going to do any dancing today? No. I said, they don't do anything for nothing, these two. Do you know what I'm saying? So I got to know their cousin. I'm not too sure exactly how Doddy is related to them, but I got to know their cousin Doddy. He admitted, that he didn't know, he didn't have any style and flair and everything. I think Doddy could have been a really great dancer. You don't let people say that you can't have style and flair just because you're a little bit overweight. But he believed it, and he said to me, he said, I can teach Andy, I may not have style and everything, but I know all the steps. I said, Doddy, well, you can teach me. Chris thought, oh, you're mad. I said, I'm mad to get Doddy to teach me. I said, no, I was mad to think that you would try and teach me, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, here you can see the place, the little carpet, the little area in Doddy's house. I used to pay him £2 an hour. £2 an hour was quite a lot of, well, it wasn't a fortune, but in 1981 it was quite a lot of money. I used to make friends with Doddy and his family and everything. They used to give me this orange juice to drink, and he used to produce all these dances and everything, and in a couple of months I'd learned all the dances. But I became friends with Doddy, and I used to have hours and hours. I used to pay him £2 or £4 for 2 hours. I used to have about 4 hours of dancing. But this is the little area where I learnt to dance. Okay, so this might be speculation. Well, not speculation, this is sort of from one person's mouth to the other. I would like to believe that all this is true. This is the origin of the Greek dancing in London. I know that probably a lot of people out there will disagree with me. Oh, no. Well, it's not exactly defined that this is how it is, but there used to be a dance group that had a few dancers in it. Now, there's one guy called Kyriago. Now, he used to work with me in the factory. He told me that he danced at the premiere in London of Zorba the Greek. You know Zorba's the Greek and everything? Well, he danced there, and he danced there with another couple of people called Julie and Rena. So what happened is I would imagine this is how it was. The organizer said, put a few Greek dances in, you know, and make sure you have, you know, choose some Greek dances from. I mean, there are 500. There's probably 1,000 Greek dances from all over the mainland, from Crete, from Thrace, Cyprus. Thousands, at least 1,000. Don't quote me on this, but I would imagine it's a little over 1,000 dances. But they chose seven dances that they brought over to London. And so this became the blueprint for Greek dancing. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, a lot of people out there think Greek dancing is bendozali, sikto, galamatkiano, a couple of others. They think that is Greek dancing. Well, I can tell you that is not just Greek. That is Greek dancing, but it's not just the only dances that there are. You know, and people sort of think, you know, once they've learned these 7 dances well, they sort of get a bit bored and move on. You know, if they realise that there's actually over 1,000 dances, you know, it's a lifetime study, if you see what I'm saying, about all these dances. But the point is all these people split up. Julie became, she started a Barnet dance group, and then there was Rena, this short little chubby lady, who started a dance group in Sherborne. It was very near the Michael Sobel Sports Centre. It was just down the road from there. Now this is where Tass and Chris learned to dance. I mean, Rena used to love Tass and Chris because, you know, they learned all their dances very, very quickly, and I can just imagine her dancing and say, Sagabo, Sagabo, because Chris used to say, oh, you know, she loved us, you know, do you know what I'm saying? But anyway, Tass took me down there to be introduced to Rena. And I went down there. Tass didn't even once he got there, Tass didn't even introduce me to her. You know, Tass sort of came out with the excuse and said, well, you know, they think we're all flash now. Because we've left, we're all flash now. I said, there she is. Why can't you go and introduce yourself? The real true reason, Chris told me later, is because they used to dance at weddings and stuff for nothing. And what Rena used to do, she used to split the money with the leader of the group and pocket the money. And you know, Chris actually left and said, you know, Isei mega litri budana. And I'm not going to translate that. If you're Greek, you will know what that means. But you know, they actually split up with hard feelings. But Tass just sort of said, you know, he's just going to introduce. And he just wanted to meet this girl. You know, he was talking to this girl. That was the only reason he took me down to Sherborne. You know, I mean, Tass was as selfish as they come. But anyway, I was watching them at Sherborne. You know, it was. I mean, they'd already had a little group. I mean, I didn't know any dancing at all at that time, and I thought, you know, I could tell that they were pretty rubbish. You know, they were hitting their legs and leaning back too much, and you know, it was just, you know. And they did this other move. I'll show you this move. They did this move. They did that move right across their hall. Their hall must have been about 12 or 15 meters wide, and you know. You know, me and Doddy used to have a running joke how they used to try and do this move. I perfected this move when I started teaching at Dulwich, but you know, we used to have it as a running joke with me and Doddy. But then Rena said to me, I said, well, you're not going to pick up the steps here because we're a group. If you want, you can come next week with the little kids. So I was going to come in with a little 5-year-olds to learn dancing. I just wasn't going to do that. So Doddy taught me all the dances up to the point where I went to Barnet Dance Group. So Doddy taught me all the dances up to Bendozali. I remember every time he started a new dance I was sort of thinking, oh no, I'm never going to learn this. But I seemed to get through it, and I really liked the Greek dancing. So one day at the Grosvenor, as I said before, I saw the Barnet Dance Group dance, and I thought that I didn't think they were great, but I really found it fascinating and everything. I said, you know, it was near my house. You know, it was a place called the Herbert Wilmot Centre. I had a look at it on Google Earth. It's all been knocked down now, but it was very near East Finchley Station. You used to turn right up to Upper Finchley High Road, and you know, it was a left turn, right turn. It was in this little cul-de-sac, you know, this little loopy road. And the Herbert Wilmot Centre was there. Now, I went there, and there was also another part where they used to train as well. It was at Cobbetts, Teledown Road. There used to be a little youth club there, with a Greek youth club. I think it's Burmese youth club now. I don't know what it is, but that's another place they used to train. Anyway, I went down there to try and join them. So yeah, talked to Julie and everything. He said, yeah, well, why don't you come down? If we don't train here, we train at the Herbert Wilmot. Okay, I went down. It used to be every Friday evening. Anyway, I went down there. Now, I thought I was Mr. Greek Dancing, you know. I'd only learnt dancing for a few months. So I go there and I try, and you know, when I used to have this problem, you know, when you look at other people's dancing, you sort of think, you know, oh no, I've got to change my dancing to sort of their style. When you do that, you're just all over the place. So I changed my dancing, and I just couldn't dance on that day. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, you want to dance, and you just can't. Julie looked at what I found out later. So Julie thought that I was absolute crap, you know. And then there was just this girl here. I mean, I'm sorry I'm going to use this word again. What a bitch this girl is, because, you know, there was a step that I didn't know, or I was doing it differently, you know, and then I thought they were skipping a beat, so I couldn't get that move. She said, oh, I'll teach you. It's like this. And I tried it once. I'm sure I tried it once. And she says, oh, forget it, you know. I said, this girl, I think there was something psychologically wrong with this girl, you know. I said, I found out that, you know, even George, you know, this is George, this is the nephew of Julie. You know, even he didn't like her. You know, she was just a really nasty piece of work. And I thought it was a disgrace. You know, I remember walking out of Herbert Wilmot and saying, I am never going to come here again. You know, after this disastrous first lesson. And I remember being in the factory and just sitting there, you know, looking into empty space. And I said to myself, I'm going back. I'm actually talking to myself. I said, I'm going to go back next week. He said, no, what are you talking about? No, I'm going to go back. You know, and I went back. And suddenly I could dance the way I knew how to dance, and even Julie sort of calls George. She said, George, come and have a look at this, come and have a look at this. And I could see them going, yeah, no, he's pretty good. I said, well, you know, it's funny looking at it now for them to say I'm pretty good, but you have to understand that this is 1981, I'd only just started dancing. Looking back at it now, I mean, they're pretty, you know, they're pretty basic dancers. But this was the Barnet group. So you got to remember, this is a time I'd never worn the costume before, and you know, I was looking forward, you know, when are we going to learn enough dances and everything to wear this costume. But I was hoping to get into the Barnet group. So what happened is Julie used to start putting just me, you know, from all the beginners and everything, she put me just to practice. That was the proudest moment I can tell you, know, when I was practicing with the group. Have a look at the group. I mean, they look like young children now, but I was a young child myself there. Looking back, I sort of said, what am I putting my mind and my dancing with them for? But all these people here, I have practiced and partnered all of them. Some of them very nice people. There was this guy called Jack. I wish I had a video or a photo of Jack. I haven't, but he used to dance, very tall dancer, very lanky dancer. He used to think that he was the greatest dancer on earth. I think he was very good anyway. He used to tell Julie, you know, see that guy there, that's me, you know, give him time. You know, he's going to be your best dancer. And Julie used to say, oh, no, he's crap, you know, and all this kind of stuff. Julie didn't like me, you know, one little bit. But the point is, the people at the Barnet, like Julie was really rich, you know, and her dad had this big company. Her husband, you know, was put into that company as well. I mean, Jack used to say he was a right hofgadis, but was put into this company, you know. So, you know the Greek thing where, you know, yeah, I know you're in whether you're good or not. But anyway, everyone from this area, they were well off. Their fathers, their parents are rich. They used to drive up with, you know, these big flash cars, you know. You know, even Jack used to say to me, he says, it's unbelievable what these people used to drive up in. But the thing is, I used to have this old Mark III, I think, oh yeah, Mark III Cortina, Mark II here, this white one. My first car. That car was 300 quid, 280 quid, something like that. I at least paid that with my own money. You know, it wasn't a present from my, you know, bourgeois father. Do you know what I'm saying? You know, I can be, you know, I held my head up high. They weren't going to make me scared of driving that car, you know, or parking it half a mile down the road, because I'm never ashamed of what I've got. I've never have been ashamed of what I've got. I used to park, I even parked it right in front of the Hermit Wilmot Centre once. And Julie comes with her Mazda, you know, her Mazda that her dad has just bought her, and parking. He goes, "Get that Andy to come out here. Look where you parked it." I said, "Yeah." He says, "Don't you think that was a bit of a stupid place to park?" And I said, "You know, what's stupid about it?" What she was trying to say was, you know, you were supposed to hide that piece of crap because I want to park my Mazda in the most prominent position. You know what I was saying? You know, they were real stuck-up snobs there. I'm sorry to say that, but they really were. But I can tell you this: they weren't going to make me ashamed of a car that I'd actually worked for, and you know, and I actually had. You know, I'm sorry that I couldn't oblige them by being ashamed, but I certainly wasn't. So, I mean, there was this girl, Andrea, was in the dance group, this one here, and I did like her a little bit, you know. It's just, you know, she was a little bit simple for me, really. You know, it's funny, I just go, I shouldn't jump forward, but if you have a look at this dance here, have a look at the background, you see Joanna, you know, we're dancing in the dance group, and you see Joanna taking pictures in the background, and Sadiri's there. Now, Andrea, years later, worked at Go-Go's. It's a shoe place at East Finchley. Still there today. This is what it looked like then. I've got a little clip. Yeah, and Sadiri used to work there as well. So it's funny, Sadiri's a little kid in this video, but was invited to her wedding. She was pregnant. I mean, that's typical. You know, she follows the, you know, the template of a girl that will get pregnant before she gets married, because she was a little bit simple, you know. But it was funny because Sadiri went up to her and said, "You used to dance with my uncle." And she says, "No, your uncle must have been in my sister's dance group." I said, "What are you talking about?" You know, because there was two dance groups. She got into the A group. There's two dance groups, and you know, talk about being a snob. You know, you don't remember. You know, every dance I ever danced, she was in it. What do you mean she used to dance in my sister's group because she got into the A group? Do you know what I'm saying? So she was the first person to get the costume and put the costume, and she danced with the A group. I was a bit, I have to be not envious, but you know, I felt it was a bit, my pride was a bit hurt that she got into the costume before and was dancing with the group before. But then Julie created this B group. Now this is the B group. Let's have a look. I mean, it's pretty disastrous stuff, isn't it? I mean, you know, it's you see John, this is the nicest guy, he's a bit overweight, and everyone, look, you got this silly cow laughing at him in the background, you know. It's actually, John did make a lot of mistakes in that dance. I mean, he's being caught out left, right and centre. I remember showing Doddy this, he was laughing, you know, "Oh, the guy's been caught out again." Okay, he may not know the steps, but when he's coming out with his partner, that's his partner that's making him go wrong, because his partner is ahead of the music. So the girl in the background, she's laughing, you know, sort of, you know, sort of, he's a disaster. He wasn't a disaster, he was actually the nicest guy there, you know. I would never say anything bad about his dancing, but if you have a look at the beginning, that's a disaster. I'm actually ashamed. I'm looking back at it, you know, because this could have been my definitive one video dance. I'm really glad I went into other groups and got other videos, but now looking back, it's pretty funny. I mean, you come and look, I don't think this kind of mistake has ever been made in any dance group ever in history. I've got to see that again. So as I said, Julie, well, she got together the dance group. We were called the B group, Barnet Dance Group. You know, sort of, it's like the scrapyard. We were the scrapyard of Greek dancing. You know, but she formed this group, and I was pretty happy to be in it. Our first dance was in Barnet. Now. It was up at Barnet, I can't remember where, it was this hall in front of English people. A very simple dance that she was going to try us out there. So we went there. Now, the thing with Julie is she would never say, be at this place at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whatever. She would never say that. She'd come round to my house and we'll all go from there. She wouldn't tell us the address. Okay, so we all used to meet at Julie's house and then used to go. Now, he used to have, her husband used to have a Y-Reg BMW. The latest model at that time, and you know, they're really fast cars. And I used to have I told you, my Mark III Cortina, you know, which all the shock absorbers were nicked, you know, they were just taken off my car. That's another story. But you know, I said I couldn't keep up with them. You know, they left it 5 minutes. You know, we were in her house, you know, all that time, and you know, they tried to rush, and they were saying, keep up, keep up. I said, I'm not going to get killed. You know, just because you didn't tell us the address. Anyway, we found the address. We're dancing up. I haven't got a video. I haven't even got any photographs of my first dance. But I remember that, you know, I was behind. I was second, and Cos and the leader we were just about to start one dance, and they were the wrong way around. And I had to tell them that's the way around. And a lot of people came up to say, you know, you dance very well. They actually came to tell me because they could tell, you know, that, you know. I mean, I'd only danced a year up to that time. They could tell that, you know, it's a bit arrogant, I must admit. But I mean, Cos, you know, Julie used to think, you know, he was a great dancer. He wasn't a good dancer. Here, have a look at Cos. I mean, like Cos, I never mentioned this before, I used to go there and Julie, he used to play on these little machine games. It was like a little table, very little simple machine games back in 1982. But I'm talking about every single time, Julie used to call him up, come on Cos, come on practice, come on practice. I used to get fed up with that every single time. You know, you're there to dance, and the leader is being pulled up every single time. You know, he wasn't really enthusiastic about dancing, and I think you can tell it here. He's just not a very good dancer at all. But anyway, we did that dance. Probably we got into the local paper. Very disappointed that we haven't got that. I was very happy. You know, and I felt that the group gelled because you have to remember that, you know, they were a bit snobby and stuck up. We used to go to the bar. It used to be a youth club. Used to be a bar there, a snooker table and seats, almost like the Wimpy bar seats sort of thing. You know, it used to be very quiet every time I used to go there, and you know, we gelled, and you know, after our first dance. When I went there the next day, it was all back to normal. No one was talking to each other again, and I thought, you know what I'm saying. So they had this dance. This was in November 1982. You can even see my dad in the background. You can see my dad there. He came to this dance. Joanna's taking photographs. I told you already before. Sadiri's there. Did this dance. I think my dancing here was really good. It was funny that the leader of the group, you know, because of the Barnets were dancing there, the Barnet A group, you can see a little bit of it here. Now the leader, I'm not dancing in such a crappy place like this, you know, sort of, you know, really snobbish, you know, in the Greek dancing sense, you know, and have a look at him. Here he is here, you know, nothing special about his dancing. You know, he used to laugh at me because I used to come out with different moves and different bits. I used to have this video, have a look at this. thought, you're never going to see better dancers than this, and I modelled a lot of my dancing on it. Have a look at this move. I used to try this move, and it was ha 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 from Mike, you know. So it's oh, what was that, you know? So I mean, I used to try. I mean, when I look at his dancing now, you know, I mean, how awful is that? You know, you know what I'm saying? Who's he to even give an opinion on my dancing? And just to tell you another story about, you know, all the times that we used to go to venues and everything. Now, she would never tell us where the venue was. You would go to her house, and we were a convoy about 4 or 5 cars. So we would follow her car, and I remember there's a place in Highgate. They've changed the system now. It was a one-way system. So you went from, say, Muswell Hill upwards, and you go Highgate upwards. Well, we were following the girls, and suddenly they turned backwards, and they're going back. And I sort of said, look, we wouldn't be going up this way to come back. So we're at the traffic lights, and the leader of the group is shouting at the girls, goes, "That's not Julie's car. Julie's car was a Y-reg, and that's an X-reg." And they got a real shock, you know. Oh no, well, this is a calamity. You haven't told us where the venue was. You know, so if you lose any cars, that's the end of the dance. You know, you go there with half the dancers. You know what I'm saying? Luckily enough, we turned back and Julie was waiting at the end. But I mean, that dance would have been over there and then. I thought that was an absolutely crazy system that they had. Anyway, for the whole time that I was at Barnet, well, most of it, they were invited to dance on Channel 4. Now, you've got to remember what it was like at that time. There was only 3 channels at that time. ITV, BBC and BBC Two. There was only 3 channels at that time. It used to be a time when I used to go to school and I used to say, "Did you see this film last night?" Everyone would say yes. 99.9% of people would say yes. Not like that today. You saw the film last night, you know, there's 500 film channels, you know what I'm saying? So that was it. Now this new channel was coming out. This Channel 4, this flagship channel, this new channel, you know, and they used to talk about it all the time, that they're going to be on Channel 4. Even Julie said to George, come on George, you're going to be a TV star, you're going to be a TV star. You know, and I used to read, you know, what they said about Channel 4, and this and that, it's going to be this, it's going to be revolutionary, and I sort of think, wow, and the dance group, you know, they're going to be the part of the dance group, you know, they're going to be this, and they're going to be that. So eventually the Channel 4 people came down. Now I usually go to the dancing at 7, 8 o'clock. I can't remember what time I used to go. I go there and all the lights are there and they've finished their filming, you know, you know what I'm saying. Well anyway, I wasn't going to be on that television program, but I'm glad I'm not on that television program, because not only did I miss it, but have a look how they are, how they are perceived on Channel 4. They're part of the title sequence, and they're talking about immigration. I mean, you know, if you're a Greek person in England, you've been born in England, you don't feel like an immigrant. And you've got this person, I've only got a bit of it, this idiot talking, you know.
Get as much education as they can and do business as good as they can in this country, because they, in a way, they are now forced to live.
Yes, they have to try the best they can, to do the best they can, because most families split up at 15. I mean, he must be crazy, you know, he thinks he's an intellectual talking about it. That's another story. But just have a look at the dancing. I mean, it's pretty crazy, pretty awful dancing. Have a look at Mike here. Comes out and I mean, he looks like a Thunderbird puppet. You know, I mean, that, you know, put some zest into your dancing. That is the word. I remember his dad once, we danced once, and his dad came up and said, all you Barnet dancers were good, but my son was the best. I said, I can understand, that's a bit of fatherly pride. He was right, his son is the best. I mean, if that's the best, just think about the worst. Can you imagine how bad the Greek dance, the men were in this group, if that's the best? You know, and have a look. I mean, you can see. Have a look at this in slow motion. You can see Mike. You know, he's even done his hair. He's had this little hairdo, this little blow do. You know, I'm sure, you know, in the barbers that wasn't the only thing that was blown. But you know, he looks really, really effeminate here. And I mean, this dancing. I said, you know, I could get, you know, a puppet, you know, and pull the strings. You know, it's funny when you sort of think about it. You know, and you look at it, he's a young little kid, you know, and it's sort of thing that he was actually my age then. But, you know, I said, you know, now it's my turn to say, look, what's that, you know, and this is the kind of thing where they know a certain dance. I remember they used to watch videos in Julie's house of Greek dancing, and one person used to say, you don't want us to dance like that, do you? Their set dancing it's like this, we don't want it changed. And unfortunately, this is just really awful. I mean, really pathetic, really almost effeminate. You know, I said, you know, I mean, you're a young dancer and everything. Put some zest into it, for God's sake. You know, and I thought that was, and the Barnet, you know, I mean, there were some Barnet dancers who were saying, you know, that people were asking, you know, why aren't you on television? You told us you're on television. Why aren't you on television? How embarrassing it is to be just at the credit sequence. And I'm sorry, but I want to have another laugh again, so I want to see it again. So just to finish off with the Barnet group, I don't want to really dwell on it too much. You've got to remember that they were all part of a college. They used to see each other in college. And then I used to come along. It was very difficult to integrate with these people. I think they might have thought that I thought they were a bit stuck up and a bit snobbish. It wasn't that. Or they might have thought, well, you know, Andy's car, you know, he's proud of his car. And you know, we don't want him to know him because he's proud of his car. They put this guy in. Julie used to put me with him to see who was going to get into the dance. But in the end, they put this guy in. You know, all credit to him. He used to dance before somewhere else, and they used to like him. So they put him in. I mean, he was had a really funny style. You can see it here. You know that he was pretty awful. But they put him in, and Jim, one of the worst dancers in the group. I cut a long story short, but he didn't want to dance anymore, and I was standing there. So what are we? And Julie says, what are we going to do about Jim now? I said, I'm standing there. You know, what do you mean, what are you going to be? You put me in, you know. But if I hadn't gone to the Dulwich dance group and had the kind of relationship I had with Leon, I would never to this day understand what it is. It's a question of you wipe somebody off the mind. It's like they do not exist. I can understand that because later on you'll hear all that. You'll hear all that stuff as well. So what happened here, Jack asked me to dance at a few restaurants. I remember Jack used to say, he goes, Andy, in a few seconds time you're going to become pro. We danced at this well, it's not an Indian restaurant, but it was a Greek restaurant run by an Indian guy. How crazy is that? But you know, Jack used to put me in there and I used to really enjoy that kind of stuff. Then we have the time when I used to dance with Minnie and Leah at a restaurant, the Ilf Aggression. Everyone used to dance there, every man and his dog. I used to see photographs of all these dancers I used to know. They used to dance at the Ilf Aggression. They used to give us £34 every single time. So what it was, I mean, £34, we used to split it up into three people. It wasn't really a lot of money. I mean, they used to think it was a lot of money to pay us, but you know, I wasn't going to kill myself to go. But we used to dance quite a few times, and there was a sort of contract. And romance beats stance Minnie, you know, wanted to go with his girlfriend one day, you know, because romance beats down. It was a funny way of Minnie saying, you know, look, it said, look, you know, when it comes to his girlfriend, you know, the world can be destroyed behind him. He wouldn't care less. You know what I'm saying? So he said, Andy, you are dancing at the Gresham with this guy, Lair the Bear. Well, not Lair the Bear, his brother, Pete the Elite. Now, I've got a bit of video with Pete the Elite. This is what he dances like. Okay, so I'm supposed to dance with him. Now, well, I actually went up to Taz, who lives across the road from the factory. I said to him, will you dance with me as a third person? And we can dance with Pete the Elite, and I'll arrange a routine. Taz was saying to me, well, let me have a look at your routine. No, I don't agree with that. You know, you're finishing a routine with a Zay Bekigo. You go, well, what should I finish it with? Oh, it should be either a Benduzali, which is a fast dance, or a, you know, or a Susta. Well, Tas was the clever one. When he used to do his dancing, he used to have Sikdo, Benduzali, and Susta in that order. I used to think that was crazy. Anyway, there was a bit of a conflict, but he said, well, you're leading, you do it. I was getting depressed. I just didn't want to go in the end. I was just feeling a bit ill about it. So I phoned up Minnie's house and said that I couldn't go. And Steve answers the phone and he says, well, what's he going to have to do? He's going to have to dance by himself, isn't he? You know. And I thought at least Steve would phone up the restaurant. I thought he would at least phone up the restaurant. He doesn't even phone up the restaurant to say that I'm not coming. I don't have the number of the Ilford Gresham. And the other thing that made me a bit depressed, because we were laughing at, me and Taz were laughing at Pete the Elite because he's so useless. But when Steve, Minnie's brother, said to me, well, does your friend dance? And I said, well, yeah, he's pretty good. He says, well, you'll know why when you get there. I said, well, it's a bit obvious why you're asking me, because Pete the Elite can't dance. You know, and then I found out that poor Pete the Elite is a little bit deaf, and I felt so sorry for him, and I just didn't want to go. I couldn't even phone up Taz because he didn't have a phone. I couldn't even phone him up that I was going to pick him up, so I just stayed at home. But the next day, Pete the Elite phones me up and says, oh, well, don't worry about Friday. What about tonight? Now, I've already messed about Taz. You know, he wasn't going to come down again. So I said to him, I'm not coming. So we lost the contract. Apparently, Lair the Bear was pretty upset that the contract was lost. I was actually not upset at all. Do you know what I'm saying? Because obviously, Pete the Elite, Lair the Bear was going to lose his piddly 11 quid, you know, for those nights. It wasn't so easy, you know, dancing. You know, they want dancers at the Ilford Gresham, so you dance and get the English to dance and dancing with them. You know, it's one of those things that you've got to feel. You know, you've got to. You know, it's not one of those things where you sort of go into work and sort of, oh, I feel boring today. You know, I feel down. You know, with Greek dancing, you've got to feel up and get people to dance and everything. It wasn't easy to do that job actually. But, you know, Lair the Bear was upset. Minnie, you know, I'm sure Minnie blamed me, but I can tell you that romance did beat stance, because that romance has ruined our contract at the Ilford Gresham. And I can tell you that it didn't bother me one little bit. So we have, I went to a wedding, Minnie's there. Minnie actually shows us what Greek dancing is all about. Really, really good dancing. So Minnie had a dance group. He had well, we call it the Wood Green group. You know, he was teaching at the Wood Green Community Centre in Wood Green. Still there today. And then he asked me to come down. Now Minnie said to me at this wedding about 10 times, calm down, Andy, calm down, make sure you calm down. Now it's funny because the next day I sort of thought, it was the next day that he wanted me to go and see the group. And if he hadn't have said to me, come down about 200 times, I would probably wouldn't have come down, because I wouldn't have believed that he wanted me to come down. But I kept on hearing him say, come down, come down. So I went down and we went and we started this group. This is the group with Vimo. And we danced. They only had one dinner and dance that they were going to dance, and it was this. It was at the Athena Palace. Don't quote me of the name of it, but we used to be on top of the cinema in Wood Green, and we danced there. And there was this guy called Mario and everything. Another person that didn't have rhythm, didn't have any dancing rhythm at all. At the dance, he says to me, can we extend our dancing where we come out together? I said, Mario, his name was Mario. I said, Mario, no problem, no problem, we'll come out together and dance. So we're dancing, and I'm waiting for him to do the extra bit. And he didn't do it, so I walked off. And later on he says, why did you stay out on the dance floor? I said, because I wanted to do the bit that you invented, the extra bit. He went, oh no. It was a total shock with him. I mean, he was a handsome guy. They used to call him the young Tony Curtis. This was also, incidentally, the place where Minnie saw Telly's future bride. And actually, when she insulted one of the fat kids there, she turned around and he turned around and said, you should look at your own bottom before you compare other people. That was another story which I've talked about another time. I also saw this girl there. This was the one that laughed at the guy, the fat guy and everything. Said, do you still dance? And Mario turned around, yeah, he's dancing with us. This is Vimo. Now, I do not respect Vimo one little bit. We were supposed to pay. Well, at the beginning, all the dances, it's always the same. This is the same story. I've heard this story 1,000,000 times. This happened in Barnet. This happened here as well. Where they want the dancers to dance free. And then when they realise that they're not making enough money, suddenly they want the dancers to pay. Me and Minnie paid. Vimo, no, it's the principle. Once I got paid £150 to dance at a place, I'm not going to pay. Minnie actually even said to the organisers, I will pay for him. They said, no. I said, Minnie, I would never have said that, because if I'm Greek, I said, yeah, you pay, and you're the one who's going to get all the trouble. And Minnie said, no, I knew they weren't going to ask me. I said, I wouldn't have taken that chance. But anyway, that's Vimo, and it was so funny when he split. I wish I had some photographs here to show you. He split his trousers. He went to do a figura at the front because he was leading. He split his trousers completely open. And he was hiding. Minnie had these red little mandilutkia. They were this small. I mean, it was just so happened that it was the right size for him, if you know what I'm saying. But he split his trousers and he wouldn't do all his figuras, and you can see that in some of the photos that I've got that it is covering his most embarrassing parts. But I thought that actually served him right. Okay, so that basically is the history of my dancing up until, say, end of 1984. So I started learning to Greek dance about the Christmas of 1981. I was quite happy, because after 1 year, I was actually pretty good, because Tass and Chris were saying, because they always were looking for good Greek dancers, and they would say, well, they're just doing it, and I didn't want to be that kind of dancer, just knows how to do the steps, you've got to dance it. So I always had that in my mind, how do you become that kind of dancer? But I mean, if you have a look at this, the Barnet dance, I've got to admit, I mean, I hadn't even danced for a whole year then, and look at that. There's one incident that I went with Jack round to Julie's house, and they were playing this video, and played it in slow motion. Have a look at Kos here. Even Jack was saying, no. I mean, give me 5 minutes with Kos, and I could make him a good dancer. Julie was not the kind of person to make anybody a good dancer at all. She would practice a dance, as a Bekigor or a Ben Dozali or something, and she would practice it, and then suddenly you know, let's do it again. Let's do it again. It's like a little kid having a spelling test. If the little kid's getting 2 out of 10 every single time, you know, unless you're going to correct him, he's going to get 2 out of 10 every single time. It was the same with the Greek dancing. And I remember he changed a whole routine for this daft geezer. You know, she changed a whole routine and made it simpler because he couldn't get it. And I remember I had the same kind of trouble in the Barnet group, in the Dulwich group. With Leon, where he couldn't do it, because I actually said I would never change. It was actually the same routine, would you believe, that he couldn't get, and that he said, why can't we simplify it? I said, well, I said from years ago that I wouldn't simplify it. You know, he couldn't understand that from Adam. But yes, I mean, it could have been the only video I had. I'm really glad that I got a million videos of dancing. The old-fashioned, these were the, I hated the way they opened these ones. This was the old-fashioned kind of box, soft box, but every time you open it, the tape just goes, you know. But anyway, so that's the Barnet group. I have to see their humiliation again. Yeah, that is the one scene I would like to see. You know, the flagship. They were the flagship of Channel 4, and they have to be humiliated. Whenever you ever get something like this, whenever someone says, I want to film your wedding or I want to film your Greek dancing, the first thing you ask is, what is the context of the video? You don't want to be in a video about immigration, and so you feel like an immigrant. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's a disgrace in itself. And then you have this title sequence. I mean, as I said, Sula recorded this and gave it to me. I didn't actually see this. This was something like Thursday night. You know, I mean, it was a big shot for them. The last thing I can say about Barnet, why I left them, is they put Andrew, this girl at the beginning, the one who got pregnant before she got married. I mean, it's really simple. As I said before, the perfect template, you know, for her to actually do something like that. Julie just came along and said, I'm putting her in the group permanently. And I never forget that I did the Zeybekiko. The last dance I did at Barnet, I did a Zeybekiko. I mean, I felt so bad. You know, I said I was totally humiliated, really. Never going to get to the group. I mean, I just wanted to go dance once at the Grosvenor with the group. I mean, you know, that's the reason I wanted to be in there, rightly or wrongly. But I remember doing the Zeybekiko, the last dance. My feet felt like I was wearing galoshes. Really heavy boots. It was like dancing in snow, you know. I really felt, and that's the day that, you know, I never went down there. And I'm sure the B group, you know, this girl here, she never made me feel welcome. But, you know, I can just imagine this girl going up to Julie and saying, what's happened to our B group? And her saying after a few weeks, well, Kost doesn't want to dance and Andy's disappeared. Who knows if he's going to come back? And I really would have liked to see her face, you know, to sort of say, well, your group's been smashed, you know what I'm saying? And I know for a fact that it's been smashed because I met people a few months later on who they became the Greek group, the B group, which was younger people from the people that were there. So the B group was disbanded. I'd like to say it was disbanded because I left. I think that there is a lot of truth in that because Kost didn't really want to dance anyway. He was, even on the last day, he was pulled up from his machine games. Let him go to his machine games, let me move on, and let the Barnet B group die. And good riddance. So, just talking just a little bit more about the Barnet group, and this little guy here, he used to teach me how to do flash dancing. I'm sort of thinking, you know, how far we are with Greek dancing that he used to teach me. But you know, I used to be to say, this girl here, really nice girl. There's a lot of people used to say, you should lead, you should lead. I said, well, Julie doesn't even want me anywhere near the A group, let alone to lead. Do you know what I'm saying? So it was that kind of thing. This girl here wasn't part of them. She was the one who left to put Andrew in the position. She understood that they were snobby and this and that, and she left them. She was another nice girl. There was a lot of nice people. The last thing I have to say, I'm sorry I have to say it, you know, with this guy Mike, you know, at the leader, you know, the one who used to, you know, I saw him at weddings and stuff. I'm really good dancer, you're really crap. You know, I'm the best. I'm the leader of the Barnet Group, you know. Well, his partner used to be had by my friend Tass. You know, my Taz used to even describe his little sexual exploits with this girl. This girl who were his leader, I don't think she was, you know, she lived in a council estate near Doddy's flat, near Doddy's house. And he used to do her and then used to come round to Doddy's house. But anyway, Mike used to find out about this and he was pretty narked. Can you imagine, you know, you've been dancing with your partner, you know, for years and years, and then, you know, you find out, you probably like her a little bit, you find out that she's the biggest slapper around. So I thought that was pretty, you know, he actually deserved that. And let's have a look at his dancing, you know, with his little blow hair blow do, you know, that he also got from his barber. And let's have a look at, let's just leave it with the Barnet Resili. You know, the Barnet disgrace. You know, years and years they were saying, you know, we're going to be on Channel 4, Channel 4, Channel 4. And here they are dancing on Channel 4 at the credit sequence. It's not even the whole dance. So watch, enjoy, and let's have a laugh.
Get as much education as they can and do business as good as they can in this country, because they, in a way, they are now forced to live in this country. That is, whether we like it or not, especially after the events of 1974. I think that a great number of us are forced to be here, whether we like it or not. Unfortunately, a lot of us want our children to grow up the way we did at home, but that is very, very unreasonable, and we are not doing any good to our children. That is why a lot of families split up. As soon as they have a teenager in the family, you will see that the majority of families do split up. Simply because the parents are not willing to accept the life the youngsters do in this country.
So what you'll see on this video are the dancers. You'll see me, the first dancer at Barnet, the B group, which was end of November 1982. You also see Tass's dance group. Would you believe, I actually used to dance with them. You know, what a pathetic. I mean, Savas was there at this dance. It was an engagement. I remember this was early 1985, and Savas used to say, I had never seen bad dancing like this. You'll see other dancers. You'll see the Barnet group dance, and you'll see another group. So I've put that on this video all as well.